we are good at certain things.
Yes.
Let's do that better than anybody else in the world. Like that's sort of the...
In labs in USA and in India, and in both academia and industry. What is your comparison of these sort of amalgamations in both these countries, since we are at different levels of research at the moment?
Yeah, maybe we start with the US first.
Okay.
So I think US has had a very important funding agencies in the US for supporting academic research, whether it is the NIH or the National Science Foundation, or even the defense grants. There's the small business grants. So the government supported funding in the US has been going on for the last 50 years, if not more, 100.
Okay.
So academic research is reasonably well funded to do very high-end research. In fact, most of the real discoveries are done in academia, in NIH-funded grants, right? So NIH funds very high-risk projects, which may or may not succeed, right? Okay. But academia does that kind of work, and the collaboration with academia and the industry, which leads to licensing of molecules or patents, is very systematically organized in the United States. I mean, I'm talking about the majority of the institutions which have like Penn, Columbia, Cornell, the big universities. I'm sure smaller universities do too. They have a business division. They have a licensing division which can work. The academics can work with the licensing division to work with the industry to license their ideas into the industry.
Okay.
And similarly, the industry also has an interest in getting licensed molecules and mechanism of action patents for their products for a price. So that system has been going on for the last at least 50 years in the United States, and it's a well-oiled machine now. It's going quite well in the US. And also from the industry side, this is the academic industry collaboration, and also from the venture capital process, right? There is the venture capital franchise is much more aware of the risks that are involved in drug discovery in biotechnology, and therefore they are investing in something that doesn't have immediate return of investment, right? So the whole system sort of has a good environment for everyone to succeed in their own space. Now let's move to India. And in India, what happens is biotechnology is just beginning right now, as far as industry as the industry per se is concerned. Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, these government agencies, have started doing the funding like NIH used to do, or still does, but the magnitude is much lower, right? So if a large organization, if a large academic or government institution in the US has a budget, it'll be in billions of dollars. A few billions of dollars will be the budget in a university like Penn or large institution, right? Institution like All India Institute of Medical Sciences or NCBS will not have, it will only be in the few millions of dollars, not even few hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's true.
So the magnitude of investment in India for doing biotechnology is multiple logs lower, right? Obviously, so that is one barrier to entry. Department of Biotechnology is trying to overcome that barrier by providing the funding that is required to get there. So, but we are just in the beginning phases right now, right? So the academic research is still very, very dependent on these grants to do the funding.
Yeah.
Similarly, the appetite for risk in the biotechnology sector in India is very low. Or the venture capital in India, the appetite for them is very low. Only few venture capitalists will venture into something in which the return of investment may be 20 years later.
Yes.
Everybody wants an investment immediately. I want my return of investment twofold, threefold, tenfold within 2 years. That doesn't happen in industry. So that awareness that the industry takes a long time to get returns is a very foreign concept for investors in India.
Yes.
And that will take time. That will take time. There has to be some success stories, and those success stories will lead to improvement of that. I feel fortunate to be in the space in both these countries where I can participate in the conversations and actually do the work in that space in this area. Just if you may, I was having a conversation with my friend recently in Boston who's sort of my mentor and helps me to understand this investment part, because that's not sort of my expertise.
Yeah.
So a conversation in India would happen like this, right? A VC would go to an academic or a small biotech company, and biotech company would say, we are developing a drug, and I want you to invest $10 million in my company, right? And the VC will ask a question, okay, I'll invest $10 million, but then when am I going to get the money back? He said, no, you'll never get the money back. You may never get the money back in the next 10 years. And okay, then obviously why should I put the $10 million? Okay, all right. Then let me see. Well, then are you, when will your cash flow start? I said, there'll be no cash flow in my company. You're going to give me $10 million, there will be no cash flow in my company because I'm developing a drug. I'm in fact going to ask you 2 years from now, I'm going to ask you $100 million because I still need to do my 30 million. So not only am I not going to give you cash flow back, but I'm going to ask you for more money in the next couple of years. Okay, you don't have cash flow. It's like, how about expenses? And what about that? Yeah, no, I'll only have expenses. I have no cash flow. I have nothing. Then the investor will look at, why am I giving you this money? Oh, there is a likelihood that you will get $1 billion 10 years from now if someone buys us. What is that likelihood? Maybe 2% probability. Okay. So then the investor said, if I just put $10 million in the bank, they'll give me 15% interest.
Yeah.
Why should I bother about this 2% probability of $1 billion 10 years from now? So when you look at it logically, the average investor is not used to this conversation. Right?
Yeah.
And there are very few people, there are a few companies, there are a few investors in India who are doing this actively now. But for the most part, this is the kind of investor. In the IT industry, you give money to the IT industry, you get money back quickly.
Yes.
And the expenses are very low. I just need one high school student to program my software.
Right.
And I've suddenly got a product which can make millions of dollars for me. I'm exaggerating, obviously.
Yeah.
But the biotechnology sector is going to take some time to get to a place where we will be. I think what India is very good at is leapfrogging technologies. So we didn't have phones, we didn't have landlines. Now 900 million cell phones in India. We leapfrog the entire digital industry. We didn't have a banking system. There were no banks. People didn't. We have a whole secondary economy of people who don't use banks. Right?
Yeah.
Today, the UPI system, everybody has a bank on their phone.
Yes.
Everybody has a bank on their phone. You have credit on your phone. Right?
Yes.
So India is very good at leapfrogging industry, the leapfrogging technologies. So I'm hoping that in the biotechnology sector, there will be some kind of a leap that will happen in the next 5 to 10 years, which will transform how drug development happens in the world. And India may have the opportunity to show that, to make extremely cheap drugs and reduce the cost of healthcare enormously.
Yeah.
I think India has that potential to do that.
Yeah.
What will be that technology? What will be that inflection point that will make that happen? I don't know, but I want to play in that sandbox.
Yeah, that's what you're saying is quite interesting, because so during this COVID-19 pandemic, there were shortages of oxygen cylinders, of concentrators, and of overall all sorts of medical equipment. And so I'm from IIT Kanpur, and that's why I know a little bit more about that. They have an incubation cell where they had a couple of startups who produced cheap medical equipment and also these oxygen concentrators. So I want to ask you, as you mentioned with venture capitalists, there are some people who are putting in money. And these days, people are putting this kind of money more into incubation cells, into startups. So is that probably the leapfrogging that you're referring to? Is that our way to gain visibility?
Yeah, I think I don't have a magic ball to say that this is the thing that will change it, right? It'll probably be a combination of many different things. So let's look at what those factors could be, right?
Yeah.
And usually there are 4 or 5 factors that if all 4 of us say one thing, we'll come up with those 4 factors, right?
Okay.
But let me say, for example, the talent is extraordinary. Our education system that has been there for the last several decades, that we've had IITs, the Indian Institute of Science, the NIPERs, the whatever, all the academic institutions that have been placed which provide affordable, high quality education to students, has created a talent pool which is probably the best in the world in terms of numbers, right? With a high quality education.
Yes.
Look at the manufacturing capabilities. I mean, today India is the largest manufacturing hub for not just vaccines, which we all know of, but all small molecules. We provide 40 to 50% of the small molecule drugs for every drug that is made in the United States, and maybe many parts of the world are getting drugs and manufactured. So the manufacturing capability is there, right? The talent is there. Yep. The government interest is there. BIRAG, Department of BIRAG, there's a lot of government support that is happening, right? No one thing. The missing pieces may be the venture capital, the high value, the investment that is required, the $100-200 million investment required to take things to the next level. That may be required. Digital capital. India is the digital hub of the world. I mean, IT is the merger between IT and BT, IT and biotechnology, is imminent. It has to happen. And where will it happen best? It will happen in India. All the people who have cell phones, all of the healthcare, the distribution of the healthcare. India may never have an insurance process. We may never have insurance like we have in the United States. But a completely different model will appear out of nowhere, out of some ingenious thinking, some aggregator where healthcare can be provided to millions of people. So all of these multiple things will come together, and suddenly that leapfrog will happen.
I have goosebumps, like the kind of passion with which you're talking about this. And I think this is exactly what our country needs right now. You straddle India and USA, and you have these ideas. And these ideas, I hope, through our podcast and through your book, for example, will get translated into reality. And, people are going to start thinking about it. And they probably are. We don't know. And, this impact, this visibility of Indian research and advancement to affordable medicine will happen really soon.
Yeah, we always are very good at bashing ourselves that, we didn't do this. India said, batao, one innovation that came out of India that, made India better. नहीं है, क्या कर लोगे नहीं है, right? लेकिन हम लोग सिप्ला का जो HIV vaccine, we didn't discover HIV drugs, but we made them affordable for the rest of the world.
Right?
There's innovation
Absolutely.
in that. Doesn't mean everybody has to do exactly the same thing. And because I'm not saying we don't, but let's say we do less of that. We have less Nobel laureates, for example, in the world, right? And every year we hear 2-3 Nobel laureates from the United States. So